We're here with Matt Doyle on Vermilion in Duluth. Matt,
hi, Bill.
What are you doing in the garden? It's a gorgeous day. What are you trying to accomplish today?
Well, I'm bagging apples today, so I don't have to use pesticides and herbicides. I protect the apples with these little plastic sandwich bags. Put one on each apple that I'm trying to produce. And it's part of our family commitment to sustainability. As a member of the Isaac Walton League here in Duluth and the Sustainability Committee, I figured I better do some things myself to set a good example.
I think you're setting a great example. Could you describe briefly what you're doing with your whole front yard? Because the viewers may not know that we're standing in your front yard and I see no grass.
Well, we took out most of the grass. My wife likes to do flowers, and we gradually, year by year, taken more and more out. And now we don't have to use a lawnmower that burns fuel. Our work here will be gardening instead of mowing grass and fertilizing grass and all of those things. But most of this work here, other than the apples and the strawberries that you'll see here, all the garden work for the flowers are my wife Kay's work. So she does that stuff, that type of work.
Great.
Yeah.
Beth, what are you doing with all that rhubarb that Matt is sharing with you?
Oh, I'm bringing it to our congregation, and we're baking gluten-free rhubarb treats tomorrow to bring to the Chum Rhubarb Fest on Saturday, which is a great community event with thousands of people lining up for the pies and the treats and the rhubarb brats and all the good things they make.
Great. Rhubarb brats. Matt, I can see that you have solar on your house on Vermilion. Can you describe how long have you had this solar and how much learning does it take?
Well, we've had this on about 4 years. This is a 7.3 kilowatt system. It uses the great sun source that we have here, the resource, and produces more energy than we use for our electric bill. So economically, the payback period on this particular investment is probably going to be about 8 years. People would ask me that question, how long does it take to get the money back? And then from then on, it'll be free energy that this is producing. Since we produce more than we need, whatever we don't use goes back on that line and goes to the nearest neighbor. So there's very little loss of energy going across lines. Also, we decided to buy an electric vehicle this year because it just made so much sense producing our solar energy. And the fact that as I looked into the electric vehicles, they make just a lot more sense economically now.
Matt, are you saying that somebody in Duluth could actually drive around town on sunlight?
Yeah, come on, I'll show you.
Matt, could you explain that idea about driving on sunlight?
Yeah, this is the solar meter. This one is the production meter. The solar that's being produced is being metered here. There's a little arrow that says it's going this way into the house. Then this is the meter from Minnesota Power. When it goes more into this meter than it can use, it goes back up on the line out to the nearest neighbor that can use it. Well, I thought, well, why don't I use it right here, even closer? And that's how I use it, by plugging in my electric vehicle in a garage outlet.
Are you using it today, Matt? It's a gorgeously sunny day.
Oh yeah, I'll show you.
Matt, why don't you show us how that works?
Well, it's this difficult. It's plugged into an outlet in the garage. And now I plug it in here. And you hear it click on, that means it's charging. That's it. Now, if I'm not at home and I'm driving, say, from here to the cities, I could stop in Sturgeon Lake or Pine City. I can charge very quickly with this particular port. That's how the fast charger works, or the one down here on Canal Park. Sometimes I'll go for a run on Canal Park on the lake walk and charge the car in while I'm doing it.
How fast is a fast charge?
Fast charge would take it would add about 100 miles of range in 50 minutes, 55 minutes.
Great.
So while I'm running, it completely charges the car if it's completely discharged.
Matt, looking at this, it looks like it's a brand new engine. Are you sure you've driven this car for a year?
I've had the car about a year, 7,000 miles, a little over a year now, and it's never been in for service. and it's never had the engine washed. And because there's no grease or anything there, it doesn't catch dirt. There is a panel underneath, so no, that's how it looks after a year.
Matt, your car is really wonderfully clean, and we can hardly believe that you've been driving this thing for a year. How much does an oil change cost for this?
Well, I've budgeted for the next 30 years, zero. There's no oil. In fact, that's one of the advantages of the electric vehicle. It's all electric, so there's no oil, there's no muffler, there's no tailpipes. There's actually hundreds of parts this car does not have that'll never need to be fixed. So, and by the way, it's running right now.
It's that quiet. Nobody,
that quiet.
Nobody can hear it, and it's not
great pickup.
Not wasting energy.
It has great pickup too. If you're out driving and you need to zip into a lane or something, it's not a problem at all.
What types of usage do you see most often with it?
I usually mainly just all around town. I go to Two Harbors. I've been up to the range. That's easily within the range. I don't even have to recharge. But if I go to the cities, I do have to charge in between.
Great. And Matt, we understand that you volunteered to help teach a class called Duluth's Climate of Hope at the University of Minnesota. Could you describe how it relates to that book that was published by Michael Bloomberg and Carl Pope that has been a big national success?
Right. Well, my friend Bill Mittlefehldt asked me if I'd help with that class, and I thought, you know, I've learned so many things from so many people that I'd like to share that knowledge. And people were a little bit despairing and depressed about what's going on with our government, and they're leaving the Paris Peace Accords and backing off of cleaner environment and so on. And I thought, I read that book and I thought, man, everybody's doing all kinds of things all over the world. It doesn't matter what our government does, they can't stop this. There really is a climate of hope because the technology, the economics, the better environment that we'll have, it all fits together that it makes so much sense to do the things we need to do.
Does this align well with the Ike's idea of a more sustainable lifestyle?
Oh, it's perfect for the Ikes because they're out to have clean air and clean water, and clean soil, and of course if we get off of fossil fuels, the air will clean up, the water will clean up. There's a lot of things that can happen. It's really part of the Ike's entire program. And then the other thing is that you meet people when you do a class like that, you meet other people that give you hope because they're doing things as well and you learn from them. So it was a great experience. But when you do a class like that, you meet other people that give you hope because they're doing things as well and you learn from them. So it was a great experience.